Oh,
Let's go live.
Yeah, live. So soon we'll be
live.
Yeah, we're live. So welcome, Helen and Amelia, dear members of our Bright Knowledge Harp Circle. And so, Amelia, where are you joining us from?
I'm joining from our so-called summer home in Minnesota.
Lovely. And you're originally from?
I'm originally from South America, from Colombia.
Yeah.
I've lived in this country a very long time, though.
Yeah. And I had the opportunity in May to visit Colombia. I went to Bogota.
That's right. That's right.
So beautiful. I mean, a very ancient city. I didn't realize it was actually built. It was founded in the 1500s. So.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. And Helen, where are you joining us from?
I'm in Australia. I'm on an island at the bottom of Australia called Tasmania, and I'm living in the capital city, Hobart. I'm originally from Adelaide, South Australia, so very much an Aussie girl.
I love Australia. Yeah. So I love the way that we can connect across time space like this. You know, it would be really, really hard for all of us to get together. I'm in California. Amelia's in Minnesota right now. Helen is in Tasmania. And yet here we are chatting away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think this is, part of the beauty of a community like this is that we can connect as harpists. Whereas in real life, it would take colossal efforts for us to get together, in time space. I mean, I've had the privilege of meeting both of you in person at various events, but, we were all making big efforts to go to those events, right?
Yeah.
And the consistency of what we have here in the circle instead, where on a daily basis we could connect to each other. I think that makes a very big difference right there. Yeah. So,
definitely.
Yeah, I was wondering if you could say a little bit about your experience in Bright Knowledge Harp Circle. What it's been like for you? I know it's kind of a big question, but it's almost hard to explain the depth of what we do together, and so that's why I wanted to bring you on.
Yeah, I think for me, it's what you're saying, Diana, that we've got this connection with people from all around the world, and it cuts down the isolation, because quite often being a musician and practicing and just working on your instrument, it can be a very isolating experience. You might have some other musicians in your area that you're working with, or other harpists even, but just to be able to connect at this level has been really beneficial for me, to be able to just hear other opinions and see what other people are doing. So I think that's been a really, really big joining a community. It's been great.
Yeah. And you're a professional harpist and teacher, and even though you also were experiencing that kind of isolation, right?
Definitely. That's right. I mean, first of all, we're playing an instrument that you don't see a harp everywhere, so it's a bit of a rarity to start with, and then that's right. So trying to make that community connection has been really, really, really beneficial. So
yeah. And Amelia, I know that you are in the middle of a lot of family gatherings right now, and that we have to let you go soon. I'm so appreciate that you've jumped on this call with us. So I would love to hear, what Bright Knowledge Harp Circle has done for you.
I think the main thing for me has been to just encourage me to reconnect to my harp, rather than playing and expressing in a way that meets other people's, agendas and rules, to really connect with my own love for music and for the instrument, to really look at what my purpose is, not just with the harp, but really in life in general. And it's been really nice to have a system where I can translate that into an actual step-by-step, set of goals and practice plans and that sort of thing. That somehow there was a disconnection there where I knew I loved the harp, but I just didn't know how to express that in a way that helped me. It's like I knew I had to practice, but it felt like a chore, like, oh God, I have to practice to become good. And now I look forward to it. I wake up in the morning and I know it sounds crazy, but I actually get excited about my harp.
That's good.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. One of the major kind of driving forces behind creating this system was noticing that people were not feeling motivated between lessons. I noticed lessons would go really, really well, but then there was, the sort of Western lesson style of dead silence between lessons. And it was during that time when I wasn't talking to my students, during the week when I wasn't talking to them, that their practice would start to get worse and worse throughout the week until the last couple of days they weren't practicing at all, or even more days. So I began looking at other methods of teaching, and all of them were involving community. Like the Indian style of learning classical Indian music, there's a deep respect for the power of community. And you learn in a community. You don't just learn with your teacher and then there's actually no communication with your teacher in between those lessons. But beyond that, beyond the teacher, there's a whole community where you're watching other people do things. And then, we learn by watching other people as well, right? I mean, have you guys found that in the circle, like, seeing other people share their experiences, you're like, oh, wow, I learned something new.
It's having that support, I think, definitely. Sorry, yeah, for me, it's been great to have that support, and the secret Facebook group has been a really, even though I'm not a big Facebook user, I wouldn't think I am, but anyway, I really like perhaps, just getting some of those little updates through the week. And that really does help with the support and the mentoring that I think that carries through all the time.
Absolutely.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I even love the pictures that get posted and the reminders that Monday, we, inspire each other. Tuesday we do such and such, and
yeah. Thank you for reminding me about all that, Amelia, because Jillian, our community manager, we actually have two community managers. We have Jocelyn as well, who's going to come on soon. But Jillian creates those reminders, those theme reminders to spark conversation and also to give consistency. Because I think with conferences and things, those are fun, but they're like a blast of energy. And then there's months until the next one happens, or maybe years. And so the idea of consistently having a community that's there is very important.
Mm-hmm. It's like having little reminders all the time. It's really good. I like the reminders. Yeah.
We all need them.
You almost feel like there's like this group behind you, like cheering you on and accountability. Like, I want to practice, but at the same time, it's nice knowing there's that energy of other people doing the same thing.
Right. Exactly. I think there is really a synergy to that, a synergy that starts, you almost have more going on than the sum of its parts. You start actually accelerating in your learning, and then also in your imagination, because you see other people do things that you maybe hadn't considered, and you're like, I could give that a try, Yeah, and sometimes we issue each other little challenges, right? And I think that really helps too. Like knowing somebody cares, honestly, is a big deal. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also love the whole idea of the spiral learning, where you don't feel like you're behind or like, you're letting yourself down or letting others down, but it's something that is continually growing and makes you look forward to, okay, what am I discovering next time?
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I think, so the idea of the spiral learning is we're going round the 5 steps and always using the 5 elements. But as we revisit those 5 steps, we go on sort of a more advanced way, should we say, or up the octave. So we get to explore on a deeper level those exact same steps, and everybody works at a different pace, so I think we get to watch other people's process and really respect that and let ourselves go at our own pace, because we see other people are doing it. It's not like a course where come in and do your course and then out you go, at all. It's, it's a membership program. So that's very different. Yeah.
I like that. I like what you've said, Diana, that everybody is at their own level. Everyone is just working at their own pace, and where you are is the right place to be. So,
right.
I really I like that it's got that freedom within it as well, because as you hear from other people or get a new a new week's video, you go back to your purpose and think, oh, okay, you might be refining the purpose. That's the first thing that we did. So, but or the goals might change, but that's okay as well. So, I sort of like that it kind of keeps layering.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I love that too. Because I think sometimes we feel like, oh, I set these goals, so I have to stick with them no matter what. So there cannot be any change. And maybe for years we're trying to learn the same songs over and over again, whereas in fact we don't really love them. And that was the problem in the first place, right? Or we have the wrong harp. Some of us have the wrong harp. It's not sitting right on our bodies, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And feeling the permission to change and to set new goals and that it's okay.
And I know that early on in the program this round that we've worked on setting up our harp area, the place where we're going to practice and go to, and that's that can be a sort of like a safe space to go and practice, and that you don't have to go and set everything up. Everything's already set up. So, I mean, I've been sort of working on that over the last few months, just getting a harp into a spot that I can go to, especially now that it's winter here and quite cold. So it's great to have a room where I know I can go and practice in the evenings where it's not going to be freezing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, we were sharing, where is your harp actually in your space? And I mean, one person said actually it's in its case stuck behind the bed. It's like, okay, we have to get out. And somebody had it in the bathroom. And so we all got to come out of the closet regarding where our harps were. And that was immediately making people be on their harps more. Right there,
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes we feel like I'm the only person who does things like that, but in a group, we all share it and we're like, oh man, it doesn't seem so, pathological or scary. It just seems more like funny, and you're more willing to make a change, and action.
Yeah, even the fact that we may have made mistakes with the harps we have bought before, this money, and to admit, well, my goals change, my needs change, and
right,
to know that other people go through the same thing.
Yes, definitely one of the unfortunate side effects of isolation is we tend to get kind of down on ourselves, and very self-critical and almost get stuck in that place. And I think being in a community kind of blast you out of that, because we're all doing crazy stuff and we're all admitting it, and it's great, so then we support each other. Yeah. Wow. Well, Amelia, I know you have to head on. You are with your family right now and you popped in with us. Another great thing about us being able to connect online, it's just like we can kind of pop in and out whenever it's convenient. And keep the energy flowing.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you again. And I'm excited about continuing with all that we're learning.
Thank you, Amelia. It's my honor. Yeah. Bye for now.
Okay, take care.
Bye, Amelia.
Bye, Helen.
Bye, Amelia.
Okay, Jocelyn, I would love to bring you into the conversation. So Jocelyn is one of our community managers. And hey, Jocelyn, you're on.
Hello, everybody.
Yay. Where are you coming in?
Hi.
Where are you coming in from?
I'm in hot and humid Phoenix, Arizona.
Arizona. So we have Tasmania, Arizona, California right now. And
I like it.
Yeah, I love it. I love how we can connect like this. So, Jocelyn, you are a wonderful performer, composer. You're very deep into healing harp. And actually, you are creating a healing harp component within our community that I'm super excited about. We're just starting to ramp that up because so many of our members are healing harpists, or they're interested in harp as a healing tool, even within concerts. That's a very particular interest of mine. So would you like to tell us a little bit about that? The whole healing harp component.
Well, sure. I would love to. Well, we will be, well, some of the conversations that I heard you were just speaking with the other gals about, we will be having some of those same type of conversations and directed exchanges around healing harp and what is healing harp and healing harp music, and where does this take place? How does one get started? And if we're already doing it, sharing our experiences, our strengths, our hopes, and how we can just grow this dynamic field as a community where we are nationally and internationally, because it's so global. So we're just going to be bringing everybody into those conversations and exchanging information and moving that forward.
I love it. I love it. I mean, you are so experienced in this field. I mean, how many facilities do you work with a week?
Well, a week varies, but probably a month, between 30 and 33 a month. Different
facilities. Is that?
Pardon me?
Is that different facilities?
Yes. Yeah, different facilities.
That's just
well, some I go weekly, some go monthly, some have so many hours per week, some have 1 hour per month or 6 hours per week. It just varies.
Right.
So it's a lot of scheduling.
Yeah.
Which the circle has actually helped me with quite a bit, because I've learned that if I really get everything down on paper and stick right to it, it helps a lot. So that we worked on that together for sure. So so even in just the scheduling of what happens,
right,
this has been very, very helpful.
Yeah. We're always trying to make things easier, in Bright Knowledge system. So the system is what we work with, and then the circle is how we work it in real life. And one of our things of trying to make things easier is stop trying to hold everything in our heads, as we tend to. Get them out on paper. Like here, I have paper. I have my notes for today. Because I could try and keep everything in my head, but it's going to stress me out. So we're like huge supporters of that. And then there's this magical thing that happens when you write things down. They often come true. That happens to you a lot, Jocelyn.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. So we're kind of harnessing that power and amplifying it. So, our members get to benefit from your huge experience as a really successful healing harpist, and new members who are coming in are also getting a welcome call from you. Thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, I'm having a blast meeting everybody. It's so fun to hear why they're coming on board, and their excitement is to coming on board, and why they chose Bright Knowledge Harp Circle and what their path and their journey is right at this point.
Yeah.
And they're just so excited. So
yeah,
again, that's that energy that everybody just brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, we have such a big mission of lifting all harpists up, because as we do that, you know, we're all lifted up together. It's to our great benefit to celebrate each other. When we say, I love that harpist, that's great, you know, rather than, oh my goodness, that harpist is my competition. That the whole competitive thing is, I think, just on its way out as a mentality, and we're modeling something completely different in the circle, where we're really celebrating each other and say, you, be even more of you. You know, it's like Oscar Wilde. He said, you have to be you because everybody else is taken.
I love that quote. And you really do bring that forward in the circle. And especially, I think the way that you set it up, that on our journey, what serves us and what doesn't serve us in our harp journey. Mm-hmm. And then we have the thoughts and the actions and the accomplishments along the way. But the pace is still within us. So mm-hmm. we don't have to be competing with everybody else. We're just working it at our level and our pace, but we're moving always in a forward way. And so that honors every single person, every single level, every single type of music, harpist. And that's just real beautiful. And and it's respectful of everybody.
Yeah. I think everybody gets to learn from each other, because for the harpists who are more beginners, they're getting to learn from our members who are, you know, further along the path. And at the same time, those who are further along the path get mentoring experience. They're mentoring, you know, the less experienced harpists or the newer harpists. So, you know, everybody is being enriched, I would say. Yeah. And then one particular feature that we have is we have harp buddies, and that's where you get to have a special relationship with one harpist. And so people fill out an application, and I sit there and I look at them and I'm like, who is a good it's like matchmaking. And so Helen and Jocelyn, you guys are actually harp buddies. So Helen, what do you think of the whole harp buddy idea?
I'm so excited because it's once again you're joining a community with Bright Knowledge, but then you're also paired with somebody who you can email them, ring them, send them a message. So that way you can support each other, or I don't know. I mean, the sky's the limit. You don't really know kind of how it's going to go. So I think that the opportunities there are really great. So yeah, it's a fantastic idea. There are always lots of surprises in the Harp Circle. That's what I was going to say, is that you've got your video trainings each week, and you know, you can work some little message on Facebook, you know, reminders about, or you know, how's your inspiration going this week, or something.
Yeah.
And then added bonuses like getting a harp buddy. So so you know, lots of things sort of appear as time goes along, which is great. It's not like we know everything right at the start that's going to happen. It all sort of evolves, and I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it evolves because of what you guys are telling us too, because we're constantly like listening and saying, oh, what's the interest? What's going on? You know, where are people going? And so that's when Jocelyn was like, you know, this healing harp thing is a big deal. Let's really, you know, create a group around it, basically. And I believe, Jocelyn, you're in the process of ensuring that people can actually get continuing education units through Bright Knowledge Harp Circle. I think that's still in process, but very likely to happen, which is so cool that you're spearheading that. So, you know, and another thing that happened, you know, where we asked people to make videos, you know, sharing their harp, practicing making videos, because I feel like, I mean, obviously here we are on video, right? And being comfortable on video is a critical way to communicate for the future. And so, I want to empower all our members to be comfortable making videos. So I brought on a trainer who was a TV anchor for 20 years. And she gave some advice about how to make videos. And actually what she did was force everybody on the training to make a video right on the spot on their phone. They didn't even have to watch it. But she gave, a little bit of an assignment. And it was so beautiful. And now I'm seeing more and more videos coming through on our page. And so that means all our members have much more chance of amplifying their message to the world, whatever that happens to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, there are lots of great techniques and ideas that people can pick up and run with and make their own. I think that's what it's all about. Yeah, for sure, absolutely. And I know that you guys are already, you, Helen and Jocelyn, are cooking up some ideas for the healing heart world in general that are very radical and cool. So lots of ideas, lots of big ideas. So let's make them happen. Definitely. Love it. Well, I can see that Wendelin is here as well. Wendelin, I think I'm going to bring her up into the main area. Now, this is an interesting format. I can only have 2 guests at a time. So, Helen, would you mind if I returned you to the lobby for a little second? Okay. I've got to get my charger, so I think that's going to be a good time. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Now, thanks, Diana. Yeah. Bye. Okay, Wendelin, I'm going to bring you into the live area and see. Hello. Can you hear me? Are you there? Can you hear me, Diana? I can hear you so well. Yeah. I'm hearing a past live thing and now. So there's tons of voices. Oh, well, I think maybe what you've got is something else open right now. I can't even hear you because it's... Okay. Here, I'll send you a message because I think I know what's happening. Let me put you back in the lobby. Hang on a sec. I love this little lobby thing. So in the circle, we get to also learn quite a bit of technology, but nothing too hectic. Yeah. So I think she's actually playing something else at the same time. So make sure all your other tabs and browsers are closed. Okay. So I think that's good. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so while Wendelin sorts all of that out, Jocelyn, one thing I really love about community is that it's providing a safe space for people to experiment in, Yes. Because the thing is that when we are out in the world, there are stakes, So both of us are professional harpists. So, when we are experimenting with something, it feels almost like high stakes. And to have a totally secret group for, our group is utterly confidential. Whatever we talk about in the group, we don't reveal the specifics of it outside the group. It's a safe space for us to actually work together and try things on for size and, make mistakes, and have successes, but with no stakes whatsoever, And I think that... Go ahead.
I think that is, I actually was thinking about that earlier, talking about that where, and then the discussion we had about our relationship with the harps, and people were really saying things like, oh, I have 4 harps and 2 of them I can't stand. And what do I do about that? Because it's taking up space and energy and all these things. And that was a really raw conversation for people to put all those things out. And people did get real about how they felt about their instruments. And, when you're working with an instrument, it's part of you. So that's really revealing. And I was thinking how safe that is because people feel they can just tell their stories on the community, on the Facebook page. They can tell their stories and be heard and and know that people are going to encourage, be respectful, and it's not going anywhere. Because nobody can even find the page, because not only is it private, but it's secret. So people can't even try to look at it available.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah. I think that's huge.
Yeah, and you as a community manager, Jillian as a community manager, and myself, we're in there all the time monitoring the conversations and making sure that we're really working, at a high level and a kind level. Because, I think all of us have gone on YouTube and watched videos and gone into the comment section and be like, oh,
right.
madness going on in there. And nothing like that happens in our group. We keep a really positive vibe because we're watching it and making sure that everything that's being talked about is going somewhere positive, even when we're sharing difficult experiences and, mistakes or disappointments, changed plans, all of that. That's all fine because it's moving towards something. But you won't see unkind comments in there and things like that.
Right.
Because we really strive to make it a sanctuary, that people will want to come to this place and feel brief respite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that they can actually breathe too.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I'm going to see if we have any questions.
Okay.
Helen, I'm going to bring you back into the main area. I think you're going to get your little countdown. There you go. You're back in. Yeah, welcome.
Okay.
So I'm going to scroll through the comments. We have a lot of people tuning in here and see if there are any specific questions for Jocelyn or for Helen. And I see a lot of people here. So Anne says, is healing, actually I'll show you the question. Is healing harp a form of music therapy? So this is a question we talk about in the group, right?
Yes, we are. We're going to talk about that actually in the group, defining what is music therapy and what is healing harp or therapeutic harp. So those are conversations that we are going to be having, because there is a distinction, and it's a good distinction to keep and to use correct terminology. So yes, there is a difference, and we will be exploring that and hearing from people about that. Great question. Yeah. Helen, do you have anything to add to that?
So the question is healing harp a form of music therapy? What would you say to that, Helen?
Yeah, well, I'm grappling with some of the terminology myself. I'm sorry, I can't hear Jocelyn's when she speaks. I'm not hearing that at the moment, so I can't quite respond exactly to what she's just said. But for me, there are lots of words and terminologies, and I'm sort of grappling with that myself, and wanting to come up with my own name for this kind of work, because it can become a little bit about the words, about the semantics. So that there's the music therapists, and all power to them. There are people who work with harp music as a therapy, and so there are lots of words around it. I started something a while ago called Harps for Health. That was sort of just in my head what it was called, so Harps for Health. So I think there's the opportunity to have a new name.
Yeah, and I think between the two of you, you're also perhaps cooking up a whole new way of doing all of this. So much more to come. Much more to come on that.
Absolutely. We can't be just constrained by just words or ideas. It comes down to what the need is as well, and I think there is a big need. So so.
And being able to dialogue in community just speeds up that whole conversation.
Helps so much. That's right. Otherwise I wouldn't. There are people I can connect with now that I wouldn't have even known about. So yeah, so this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. So for all our wonderful guests here, you are very welcome to ask questions. This is your chance to ask questions from members, actual members of our Bright Knowledge Harp Circle. And, sometimes people are asking me, well, what is the community component? So there's a secret Facebook page that we've been talking about, and that you can talk on 24/7. Then we have live Q&As that happen once a month, and that's where we can get on screen together and talk. And if you can't make the live, you can submit questions beforehand, and we will answer them live and talk them over as a group, get that group wisdom going. And then oftentimes I'll make these spontaneous little videos based on things that are happening in the circle. Like when I see a need, I will bring it in. For example, I did a video lately about the idea of the spiral learning, and that, it's not that you try to reach a goal and that's it, that's the end of the story. It's like that's very product oriented, in my opinion. And instead we're constantly refining and getting higher and higher up the spiral instead of this linear model, which I think is a lot less stressful, when we're doing the spiral thing. So yeah, there are a number of ways that we are connecting as a community through all of that, So it's really pretty cool. And of course the Harp Buddies, which are the one-on-ones where we're pairing people up. So yeah, there's just a lot of opportunities. I was wondering, Helen, what do you think about communities as helping you build resilience? Because I find this to be one of the most important things, that it helps you kind of grow.
I think, well, definitely, having a safe, supportive community such as this does allow for ideas to grow of your own as well as others. There's that synergy that you talk about. It's people bouncing ideas off of each other, or you might just read something and pick up something from somebody else, or there was a question on Q&A and that might have sparked something. So I think with all of this, definitely the resilience there is for each person is probably building. I know it is for me, but and it's also the resilience of that whole harp community building. So it's just great that this can continue, because we don't know where it's going to go. So it's just really nice to have that opportunity for us to be able to continue on. It's not just that linear sort of process, but it's layering all the time. I just think, whenever I just read something or get some sort of message from somebody or video, then I think it's that learning all the time. I think if you're open to the learning all the time, then you can build your resilience, and the community builds, and each feeds off the other.
I love it. We have a question from Barbara. Do people sometimes post videos of their playing on the Facebook group? Yeah, they do. In fact, it's something I'd like to encourage people to do even more. And that's why I brought in the video trainer, because I was like, guys, I think we could do with some more videos from everybody. Yeah.
Me included.
But, I think we oftentimes do have to, provide that little spark of challenge in a way to say, hey, we want to see your videos, and that will spark us to go ahead and do it. Whereas, if nobody's asking, we might never do it. And then that is instantly, limiting our world.
Well, I think it's the surprise factor, and it's just, that's not, it's in the group, but it's not written down right at the start, right? In week 6, you're going to make a video or something, so it's not that linear sort of process. It's just, look, this is a great idea, and have a try and see if you can do it. And so, and see what comes out of it. So I think that's always the way, isn't it? It's just trying something and seeing what comes out of that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the experimentation and the risk taking. I mean, it's a safe space to do it. Safe space. So I see Wendelin has come back in. I think should we give it another try, Wendelin? Let's give it a try. So Jocelyn, would you mind if I put you in the lobby for a quick second, or do you need to go?
That's fine.
Do you need to go to a gig right now? I know you have a super busy schedule. So.
Not right this minute.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I'll be right back. Yeah. And so I'm going to bring Wendelin into the main area. Hey, Wendelin.
Hi.
You sound good.
Yeah, all I hear is one voice from you. Very nice.
Yeah. So, Wendelin, where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Fairfax, California.
Yay! Yay! And so you're a very magical harpist in many ways. You combine storytelling and harp, and you had an interesting journey moving from very classical training, which I also had, and then moving along to finding your own voice much more. And I mean, I would say even on a weekly basis these days.
Yeah, these days. Yeah. Pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's been happening for you?
Yeah. Well, boy, how to start? I had beautiful classical training, and it was lovely. And my teacher thought I would be a great guinea pig because I didn't know any music. So at 17 years old, ooh, how great. She was creating a new system of teaching somebody music theory and pedal harp. So I was her guinea pig. And I was 17, and it was great, but it was pretty rigorous. And I was 17, so I did what I was told, but it was, push, and there was other parts of who I am that had a hard time being in front of people like that and playing, but I did it. I was still young and vital, and I can do this, but inside there was all this anxiety. And long story short, one day I was playing with a friend at a wedding. I made one mistake, and that was it. I said I'll never play again. I don't ever want to feel that bad again, ever. I'm tired of all the knots and the pain and the agony, even though there's a part of me that loves it. So I just stopped, but I never could get rid of all my harps. There they were, sitting there, and they should be played. So a lot of pain and suffering around this thing that I love, but I can't do. And what kind of music to play, and working so hard to get repertoire. And the most fun I discovered I had was when I was taking Christina Turin's international harp therapy training. And we had to do 80 hours for our training of something in harp. And I did most of them, I did improvising when my friend massaged. She was a massage therapist. So I did most of them in that way. And I loved it. But then I pressurized myself because I didn't have enough skill. I wasn't creative enough. And then that killed me as well. But I also improvised when I told stories, and that was fun too. So I discovered that I liked that. But it still wasn't good enough. I feel like up until just what's it been, last 2 weeks? Where prior to that, I have been riddled with what I'm supposed to do, what repertoire I'm supposed to have. When I started playing, really, if you practice 3 hours a day, that was minimum. And the best musicians practice all day. I remember when my kids were babies, every time they take naps, I would frantically practice. But that wasn't really getting it in. So like you said earlier, years practicing the same damn piece of music. It's like, this is ridiculous. And still not being able to play it in front of anybody. It's like, I'm sick of this. So first I did the ecosystem. And that was really amazing. There were some incredible breakthroughs just from having this small, intimate group. So I've been taking notes of what everyone's been saying right now. And I could, mirror all of them. but community and support, and having someone like yourself to be there and tell me personally and everyone else, yeah, how is it for you? What is right for you? Let yourself be there. And for you being able to hear, it's not so much the music, but are you true? Like we had a lesson where it's like, is that note you just played, did that feel true to you? And to me, that translates into everything. Every moment one speaks, every moment one does anything in their work, was that true? Every conversation, was it real? Was it really from your heart? So that's been very helpful. And just to reiterate what everyone else said, I love the whole thing about having the right harp. I've had many harps, and I was like, oh, I should have this beautiful harp, this way. I should have the harp you have, actually. I did have the harp you had, Diana, and I sold it a long time ago because it didn't fit my body. And then when I got this little harp that isn't really great, but it's so great for my body. And because of that, I adore it. It's like, oh, that whole thing about building the relationship. And I realized, like, wow, how am I coming towards this harp? Like, yeah, I have to get this music out. Wait a minute, we're friends. Don't I want to be friends? Don't we want to work together? What do your strings look like? What do they feel like? What does your body feel like, harp? And really taking the time to be that. And you have been giving permission for all of that. And hearing everybody else's stories for me is just a godsend and supportive. It's just fabulous. And I'm looking again, if my phone keeps going out, I want to look at all these things. There were so many great things said. Making sure that there's a place for the harp. That is so true. That is so true. Yeah, so many things.
And all of these things, after the fact, when you realize them, you're like, oh yeah, of course, that makes total sense. But you could actually spend your whole life with your harp, stuck in the bathroom. I don't realize, it's possible.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
One of our mantras in the circle is, as with your harping, so with your life, and vice versa. And so we've really been coming into alignment regarding how we want to live with our harp. So Wendelin, you run a wonderful outdoor daycare. So
outdoor preschool, not daycare.
Okay, sorry, yes, preschool. And so you teach the children primal skills, and you teach them, how to be more in nature and have confidence in themselves in that context. Right. And there's so much kindness and beauty. And then it was like, can you see how this plays into your harping? Because you were having a very different attitude towards yourself when it came to the harping. And so, at the circle, we're constantly trying to bring everything together so that we understand what our purpose is. And that's something very much like a life mission, and using that as our filter to decide what we're going to work on and how we will work on it.
Yeah. Yes, I was doing this. I do this with my little ones I'm with, but I was having a hard time translating it to me and the harp, but it was easy to understand. So the miracle is, as of this week, I have taken all my music. I loved you talk about, we gather. If I only had all this music, if I only went to this next best, greatest conference, like, why? I stopped going to conferences forever. It's like, what's the point? It's too overwhelming anyway. And in my body, I can put it away, and I am having fun. Just going, actually, it doesn't matter how long or how short I play. I just want to play. I really want to play this thing that I just created. I want to be with that. I want to find how I can resonate with that. And it is what I do in my work with children in the natural world.
And you do that so brilliantly. I mean, it's been working through layers and layers together to kind of slough off these like scales of expectation, so that we can get to what you really want to do.
That's right.
And I think watching others go through that process has, empowered you to take this radical step of, I'm writing my own music.
Yes, well, I think it's feeling the whole piece about isolation.
Mm.
You know, I'm not alone, I know, in that trouble. You know, it's kind of a common issue in any kind of trauma or personal problems or just anything. Feeling like, oh, I'm the only one. And the minute you hear somebody else like, you too? It's like this big breath that's able to be taken, you know? So seeing other people and connecting is, it's a godsend in a world. It seems like our world isn't about that so much. Mm-hmm. Everything has to go fast. Everything's about getting it done, doing product. Yeah, we're not really based on connection so much anymore. Whereas I like the way you reference Indian music. You know, the old ways, I think if we all lived in old villages, we'd all be playing together.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the stories of Ireland. You start out little, you go in the pub and you just hang out. I have these great videos of this African village. Every day, literally every day, the whole village gets together. And all the musicians are playing, and the little ones come and they do what they can on the drums, clapping. By the time they're, you know, grown up, they're unbelievable because it's just in them. And nobody's critiquing in a way that I know I was used to being critiqued.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
in a lot of my work with performance anxiety and helping others with performance anxiety, it was noticing that performance anxiety is not natural. You know, it's normal in Western society, but there are many other societies where performing is, you know, a pleasure, and it's just what you do. You know, I don't even know if they call it performing. You know, it's making music, saying something. And so, you know, a lot of the philosophy behind what we're doing in the Bright Knowledge Harp Circle is coming from that, you know, where we are like an ecosystem together and, you know, empowering each other so that we do feel that resilience and ability to go out and share, you know, that we can take risks and not be terrified.
Yes. I look forward to moving for. I mean, it's so funny. I've played in public, but now it's just, I'm just taking my time. I'm not up for pushing anymore, which is the most beautiful thing to be for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's when things start to come out naturally instead, you know. Exactly. So, Jan Joy says, I'm pleasantly surprised to see Wendelin, with whom I became acquainted when she was studying in Christina Turin's program 18 years ago.
I thought that's who that was. I know we were in the program together. Hi.
I love that. Aw. And Kate says, I like the idea of bringing everything together into lives from harp through life. This sounds authentic. Love the question from Wendelin. Does this feel true? Thank you for asking it. And also isolation. Thank you. I feel this too. Yeah.
Love the question. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Does it feel true? You know,
what was the question?
So that you had said, does this feel true? Like when you play a note, does it feel true? That you're always asking yourself that question.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for asking me that question.
Yeah. So, yes, when I am working with someone, well, in general, in a group, and then on one-on-one, for instance, you're talking about when we were working on a piece, you know, and you were saying, you know, how do I get the effect I want? And what I'm always listening for is, does that music sound true? Is something coming through that is true and universal? Or does it sound sort of surfacey, you know, a little bit controlled? And so in working with that trust factor, you know, that's where we allow that truth to roll through. But yeah, I mean, it's a process, right? I mean, we're talking about it right now. But as we go through the circle, then you learn much more about how to actually do that. So Lawrence is asking, have you ever discussed in the group the ins and outs of making a professional CD recording? Yeah, there have been conversations about that. So we have many different kinds of harpists in there, in our circle. And we had a nice long thread where people were talking about all kinds of stuff that I didn't get. Because I'll tell you what I do is I go to a sound engineer I just, they have all the nice mics, they're the ones fiddling with all the machines. I want to just focus on my music when I'm recording, but I totally see the value of recording yourself as well. And then I talked about my philosophy regarding recording CDs, because I have some particular thoughts about it. For instance, on my first CD, I had a very specific idea about every single song, and I wanted to control everything, and so I did a lot of editing. I mean, we're talking about micro stuff that nobody could hear at all. And then on my second CD, I completely threw that out the window, because I felt like, look, when you're playing, something is coming through you, and when you're chopping that up into a bunch of different bits. I mean, I was like Glenn Gould, he's legendary. He would just do these slivers of his recordings, taping it all together, literally taping. I was like that, but digital for the first one. The second one, I was like, no, this is a direct transmission and I can't cut it. And so on my second CD, most of the tracks are one take. Now, it wasn't always the first take, I'll tell you that, but one take. And so that, I was sharing that insight that I had, which people can take or leave. They may not want to do it that way, which is totally fine as well. So yeah, we have interesting conversations about this. And then Kate is asking, what components in your experience contribute to resilience? Great question. I mean, I think it starts from step one, knowing what your purpose is. If you don't know what your purpose is, almost anything else is like window dressing. So number one, and that's where we start, step one, is resilience. And from there, every step will build on that. So when you set your goals, you set them from a place of purpose, and you connect to them by your feelings and your values. So right there, your resilience jumps up, rather than I'm setting these goals because I need to learn this piece because somebody told me I should. Your resilience immediately starts diminishing from all these outside expectations. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So we build resilience, all the time, daily, I would say, and definitely in community as we build each other up. I mean, we celebrate each other. We're on step 5 right now, and it's like the strict assignment is you must celebrate yourself this month. It's required. Yeah, no shirking this one. Yeah. So if anybody has any more, you're welcome, Lawrence. If anybody has any more questions for our members that are here, and if you have questions for Jocelyn, she's still there in the lobby. I wish I could have 4 people on screen. I can only have 3 at a time. I mean, I just want to say how much you inspire me as a circle, working at a really, really high and deep level together. It really refines everything I do and gives me, energy to go on with what I do. It's truly inspiring. I think if I was just in some kind of echo chamber alone, I wouldn't have the kind of drive that I do. That the community, feeds me a great deal for all that I love to give. I get so much in return, So I just want to say thank you to you guys. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So if there aren't any more questions, I think I will wrap up. Oh, yeah, by the way, guys, you can join the Bright Knowledge Harp Circle. But we're only open until Saturday, and then we shut again for a long, long time. We close very strongly because we really want to focus on the new group that comes in and maintain the great energy with the current members as well. And so we really cultivate that whole community, and it won't feel like a community if people are just kind of wandering in and out. So we're very, when we close the door, we do close the door for many months, for 6 months. So the place that you can actually register and join us is joinharpcircle.com. So you can visit there. You'll get to hear about many stories and many of the components of what we're doing. So definitely check that out. So joinharpcircle.com. And if you know other harpists who you think would benefit from this, please do share this with them. joinharpcircle.com. Again, we're only open for a couple more days at this point, and then it's we're off the radar. We are like those magical islands sink into the mists for another 6 months. So yes, please visit joinharpcircle.com and find out how you can become part of our circle. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate your taking the time. You're just modeling the generosity that our community is by doing that. And thank you, Helen, for getting up early and calling in.
It's been a pleasure. It's great.
From Tasmania.
Thanks, Diana.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll say goodbye to you, Helen, and I'll bring Jocelyn back up for a final goodbye. Thank you, Helen.
Bye.
And I'm bringing Jocelyn back in. Hey there.
Hey. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so great to have you here and, representing the community manager position, that when people sign up for their welcome call, they're talking to you, they know that you're a very friendly face, experienced harpist, master healing harpist as well. It's nice to know that there's a face and a voice, and that's what we get in our community. Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here with everybody.
Yeah, I really appreciate you. And Gwendolyn, thank you for popping in and sharing your story with us.
Thank you for receiving.
Yeah, just sharing so honestly and authentically. I think it's going to empower a lot of people to believe that they can also find their voice. Yeah. Yeah. All right, everybody.
Okay.
So again, the place to visit is joinharpcircle.com. Check it out. Do share it with any other harpists who who you think would resonate with this whole way of doing things. And I'm looking forward to our next spiral. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Thanks, everybody, for being on.
Thank you.